time on Remember When for Alex Hehr and Radio Nostalgia. And for some hair-raising fun, here's Alex.
Good evening, Bruce. Good evening, Phil.
Welcome back from the United States of America, Al.
Thanks very much, Philip. It's great to be back. There's no place like home. And when I was putting the program together, I thought, now that is a cue to start the show tonight. So what I did, I looked through the archives, and we go back to 1980-81 and a summer campaign that 3DB had for their Rhythm of the City. And here's a recording that was put out to publicise this great campaign that 3DB, you may remember, they had 100 3DB.
That's right, yes.
Rhythm of the City, and I thought we'd start tonight's program with just that theme.
Of 3DB.
Gotta get the rhythm, gotta get the rhythm, gotta get the rhythm.
100 3DB.
Gotta get the rhythm, gotta get the rhythm, gotta get the rhythm. Get it, get it, get it. Stop the beat to the rhythm. Make it rock in the rhythm, make it feel good. Do it to the rhythm. Everything that you do to the rhythm is good. Rhythm, rhythm, change speed, rhythm, rhythm.
To hear that all over again.
That was commercially available, was it, Alex?
Yes, it was, Bruce. It was available on a 45.
Mm-hmm.
There were two, actually. That's the small side, and then there was it was at the time when disco was very popular. On the other side, there was a disco mix, a longer version of it.
Sound like an American tune.
Yeah, it may well
treatment,
it may well have been done. It might well have been done.
The best DB campaign was when John Farnham, I think, sang when Bert Newton was general manager. Do you remember he had a similar big jingle out? But it was very Melbourne. The Melbourne of Collins Street and the trams and the Yarra.
That's it. That's right. No, but good to hear that one again. The 1980-81 summer campaign, the 100 3DB Rhythm of the City. We move now from Melbourne to Adelaide, and I know we should be remembering Melbourne, but I felt that this one deserved to be put in because it's an early example of a commercial read by Dick Moore, one of the 5AD announcers. 5AD was a sister station, actually, to 3DB. And in the early 1950s, a few radio stations had dance clubs, and they had regular dancers, and a lot of people went along. This piece is an acetate from 5AD, and Dick Moore is extolling the virtues of the 5AD Dance Club.
for here. It's not often I get heralded in by such attractive music, but that's how it is this time. You're listening then to Ron Wallace's 14-piece band, which is to be the big attraction at our weekly dances, which start on Tuesday, April the 3rd, at the Freemasons Hall, North Terrace. There'll be modern dancing and old style, with every week a foreshow of talented artists. To join the 5AD Dance Club, all you do is call at the station inquiry counter and obtain your membership card. This costs you absolutely nothing and admits 2 persons to each dance on payment of the door fee, which is only 2 shillings plus tax. Now, I realize there are many of you boys and girls who work out of the city, so can't easily get to the studio for your membership card. There are only a limited number of these, but on Tuesday next we hope there'll be some available, so that those of you who find it impossible to call in for them will be able to join at the hall itself. The important thing is to get in early if you can, because there's been quite a rush for membership. I can promise you an excellent floor and special musical arrangements, such as you rarely hear except on record. Be sure you're at the Freemasons Hall on April the 3rd and every Tuesday after for the 5AD dance and Ron Wallace and his band. Would you like to hear them again? All right, here they are.
They place great credence in the floor. The floor was always excellent, wasn't it?
Great credence on ad-libbing. I mean, that went for about 3 minutes on a dance.
That's right, exactly right. But a good find, actually. I picked that one up in a trash and treasures shop. You don't find those very often.
Nice. Actually, Dick Moore went on to become quite a big name in Adelaide radio.
Is he still involved with radio, I wonder?
I don't know.
That dates back to the 1950s. So, now the next part is where Bruce and Phil become involved. What I've done, I've given you a sheet over there and I've written 6 names. So there should be 6 names there. Jeff Mannion, Sir Eric Pearce, Peter Smith, Peter C., Ray Lawrence and John West. Now, those gentlemen worked at various radio stations in Melbourne over the last 30 years, and I've got the next piece of tape is a medley of their 6 themes. So besides their name, write number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 or whatever, and I've got the correct sequence in what they should be, and see how you go with this.
So what you're doing is playing their theme, and we have to...
tell me
call signs and themes.
Well, I've got the... Yes, you can. If you can tell me their call signs, great. I've got it down here. That wasn't part of the question.
No. So you play the theme, and we have to establish which person used that as a theme and what station.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6.
All right.
All right.
Away
So
we go.
let's roll the tape. How did we go, gentlemen?
Well, I thought number 1, Peter C., although I don't know his work very well.
I think his name was Peter Cellier, wasn't it? Was
Peter
it C?
Churchley.
Oh, was it another Peter C? Yes, I went for Peter C for number 1 as well.
Yes, good.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was actually Peter Smith.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that first piece was Peter Smith
so
when he was on the ABC doing the hit parade.
I thought he used Velvet Waters as a theme.
This was his. He played this to go out with.
Oh,
it was
right.
associated with this.
All right, number 2.
Number 2.
Ray Lawrence.
I went for Ray Lawrence also.
Correct, when he was with 3XY.
Right, and he also used Bachelor Life too.
Which
Right.
we sometimes play into the news, yeah.
Number 3.
Number 3.
John West.
Correct.
Yeah, John West is
Thank
on
you.
my list.
Number 4, Peter Smith I've put, which is
So
incorrect.
now it becomes Peter C.
Peter
Peter
C.
C, yes.
Number 5 was Sir Eric Pearce.
Sir
and
Eric Pearce
number
for me.
6 was Jeff Mannion.
That's it.
Oh, we did very well.
You did very well
pal.
indeed.
Oh, I've never been in here when you've won.
You have been
Your
looking over
eyes
my-
go.
You have been
No,
looking over
I
my
have
shoulder.
not.
Because I was very hurt. I noticed your answers you covered up like you were doing an exam.
Yeah.
So I couldn't look over your shoulder. But I was very open about it. I
right,
just
all
sit
right.
here writing my answers. I didn't care if you looked or not.
Oh, no, that's a competition.
Well, I
and
think maybe you did because we had the same answer.
whole chest exploded and your eyes went around.
Oh, it'll be a good show now.
Oh, it'll be terrific. It was very dull up
Well, I
till now.
think you did. I think you did very well, and
Thanks.
we'll have another one of these next time. And that's already recorded, and Jamie and I have been talking about what we'll have on it.
Right.
Burley posture talk. Now, this is a précis of a talk on women's foundation garments, and it's typical of the type of information that women were provided with over the radio for many, many years. There were sessions on everything, and this recording features one Frida McGee. I'm not familiar with Frida, but she's chatting in this particular talk about the spine.
Hello, everybody. A famous engineer once said that if all the engineers in the world had worked together to make a human spine, they couldn't have invented a mechanical device better suited to human needs. In its design, nature proved herself an artist as well as a master mechanic. Instead of straight lines, she chose curves to give the body beauty, and she made the spine flexible instead of rigid in order to give it grace. So we can't afford to be careless about the spine. It must be right, or the figure is all wrong. Now, before going further, have you ever sat in a public place and let your thoughts run on about people? Perhaps you've seen a well-dressed, middle-aged woman. You've liked the cut of her dress, and her face has appealed to you. Then suddenly, your eyes have fallen on a pair of round shoulders. Somehow, you completely forget about the frock and the face in looking at this one bad point. For in many instances, these things are not due to potatoes and sweets, but to something wrong with the spine itself. So don't let yourself overcurve. You will find that a good-fitting burley will help you tremendously in giving you support at the right places. And if you'd like to do a little exercising as well, here's one that will help to keep the spine flexible. Lie flat on your bed and wriggle about like a snake. Work your spine from side to side and in towards the center of your body. This sounds and is simple, but it will help to loosen up the spine, to prevent it from becoming hard and set and rigid, and will help to keep it in its naturally beautiful lines. Thank you, listeners.
Well, there we are. That conjures up wonderful thoughts of wriggling around like a snake on the bed, doesn't it?
But everything was so polite in those days, wasn't it? You know, listeners.
Thank you, listeners. Yes.
Yes.
But of course, in those days, we only had Kapok mattresses, and you'd sink into one of those was like a hammock. There were no chiropractic beds in those days.
And they were invariably striped, weren't they?
That's it.
That's right.
And springs, or was there flock stuffing?
Yeah. Mattress ticking. What are you talking about?
Yes.
Mattress ticking.
Or feathers. Do you remember you used to burrow as a little boy and find a hole in
yes.
your mattress and there'd be these duck down all over you in the morning?
I can remember our family getting the first, or our first, inner spring mattress, and it was absolutely marvellous.
Oh, yes.
It's like Christmas.
Yeah. That's the voice
He was
of...
very full, wasn't he? Good night, listeners.
Alex-
Stephanie Dest used to call everybody listeners.
Hello, listeners.
It's the voice of Alex Hehr with hair-raising news.
Right, well, we're moving on now, and this is the last piece for this evening, and it's actually a soundtrack from a movie tone newsreel, which was brought out and covered the premiere of the MGM Cinerama feature, How the West Was Won, in both Sydney and Melbourne. And this particular film was the first dramatic film that was produced using the Cinerama medium. So let's now go to John Dunn and the commentary on the movie tone newsreel.
Sydney
Sydney's Trocadero, scene of a 47 Club dinner marking the Australian premieres of the mighty MGM Cinerama spectacle, How the West Was Won. Present are leaders of the entertainment world. As the guest of honor and one of the stars of the film, Henry Fonda responds to his hosts. Renowned as a witty after-dinner speaker, Mr. Fonda is obviously in top form. The Plaza Theatre goes gay for a special premiere of this, the first dramatic story ever produced in Cinerama. Among the guests for such a glittering occasion, Managing Director Hoyt's Theatres Ernest Turnbull and Mrs. Turnbull, who welcome American Consul General Lawrence Bass. The foyer buzzes with excitement, and for MGM Managing Director Bernard Freeman, it's a big night. In the role of Jethro Stewart, Buffalo Hunter, Fonda heads a list of stars like a Hollywood who's who. Such names as Gregory Peck, Carolyn Jones, James Stewart, Debbie Reynolds, and many, many others. There's Chips Rafferty, not in this film, but certainly an enthusiastic guest. Next evening, Melbourne's Plaza Theatre celebrates its premiere performance in traditional movie world style, with a tribe of locally grown Indians adding to the atmosphere of the wild, wild West. In the foyer, special decorations carry on the theme. But of course, the appearance of Henry Fonda in person is the big moment. Among the official party, the Lord Mayor of Melbourne and Federal Treasurer Harold Hope. Even so, the guest of honor still finds time for a pretty young admirer. And this is how the guest was won.
How the West Was Won, and I stupidly said John Dunn. Of course it was David Lowe, taking us out from another episode of Alex Hehr's Trivia.
Alex Hehr returns in about a month's time, or when he collates more material, to do another half hour on Radio Nostalgia.
And of course you'll be back 2 hours from now to put Bruce and myself to the test with some showbiz questions.
I certainly will, and until I join you in this program in a month or so, it's good night for now.
Philip just shaking Alex's hand. Alex walking now to the podium, taking a bow and kissing the ring of Dame Audrey Trotter and storming off down the foyer.
Well, the point is we don't have a budget, do we, for guests who contribute to the show, so I think a shake of the hand is the next best thing to Spondulix.
That's all he's going to get around here. I'll get a bottle of plonk from Bortoli if he comes in and does the supper club, but that's about all. Double pass to the Shaft Cinema.